Welcome back to the Surrey Report. Today I am joined by Darin Germyn. He's a realtor in our South Surrey office of McDonald Realty. Normally what we do is just go over the stats really quick and then talk about something interesting. But I asked Darin to be on today in order to talk about something that he calls the cost of waiting, which actually evaluates year-over-year purchases and their costs, correct?
Yeah, and this is really cool. Like you guys do such incredible things for your clients, and this is maybe just a little bit of a spin, kind of done a little differently than what you do, and I guess you kind of liked...
I absolutely loved what I saw, and I wanted to bring value to you, our clients, and to let you know another way of looking at it. But first, Darin does a similar, you call it a market update for your clients?
Yeah. Every month we'll just kind of let people know what's going on, what they need to know, help them make better decisions with real estate.
Absolutely, and Darin calls his video update that he does for his clients Drinks with Darin. So therefore, we have to, this is called Scotch with Steve. All right.
This is awesome.
For a flavor of it, I know Darin likes to celebrate a few local beers. This is actually not Scotch. This is actually a single malt Central City.
I know where that's from. Right? I recognize that very well.
My friends over at Lone McKinnon Central City, if you want to send a bottle, feel free. This is a plug, but we're going to do a little sample test here that Darin normally does with beer.
We need to make sure we're not going to mention the date that we're shooting this either, because I got a listing appointment after that, so we don't want anyone knowing.
Oh, it's just apple juice, actually.
Cheers.
There we go. Apparently vanilla and wood flavors. I've never tasted wood. So.
Tastes like there's some vanilla and wood in there. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's get into the numbers here real quick now that we're doing Scotch with Steve and Drinks with Darin at the same time. All right, so let's start with condos. We're sitting right around 428,000, which is actually up over 1% still from last year, but down almost 2.5% month over month. When we're looking at the cost of waiting, we look at a few things. We look at the price.
Yep.
Year over year, right? We're about $5,000 difference in condos. So you brought up the fact that you got to come up with a little bit bigger down payment.
Right.
Not a substantial amount in condos, but interest rates have increased to the tune of
half a percent.
Almost 0.5%. So what that does is that puts our condo payment, let's just take a look here at my list, your condo payment's about $55 more. So because the market's gone up, you're saying not only do you have to pay a little more, come up with a little bit more down payment, but you also have a higher payment.
Yeah, and there's also another piece that people need to consider too, is that you're having to live somewhere while all this is happening behind you. So if I had have waited a year, last year to today sort of thing to buy a home, well, where am I living? Am I paying rent somewhere? So instead of having a mortgage that if I took a 25-year amortization, it was now down at 24 because I've been paying off that last year. Well, I've now been paying rent for a year to somebody. So how much rent have I paid out and effectively given away rather than putting that into my own property?
For sure. Okay, let's take a look now at townhouses. We're kicking benchmark price right around $570,000, which is actually still an increase of about 1% year over year, but we're down basically 2% month over month. What does that have to do for our cost of waiting now that the market's coming back?
So what's really interesting about that is year over year, Steve will tell you, and I'm sure he's told you in the past, that year over year with townhomes, they were doing pretty well this time last year. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely, they were.
Yeah, so we're right now, a monthly payment on a townhomes is still about $89 more per month that it would cost you to own a townhome in this market. We've got the notes right here. The down payment difference, that's about $840. So now you've got more expensive payments, you're paying more for the down payment, and your total purchase price cost is $4,200 more.
Okay, so it's absolutely more expensive in townhouses, but the biggest story that we have is detached houses are actually down year over year.
You thought we weren't going to give you any good news today, so here's some good stuff.
They're actually down almost 3.5% year over year, so the market's down, right? Good thing I waited is what everybody's saying. Month over month, 1% as well. So how does the costs now affect what's going on in the market?
Well, what Steve and I kind of found really interesting about these numbers is where we are today in the mortgage market is your payments are actually more expensive right now to own that same home that has gone down in value, but their payments are more expensive today than they were a year ago.
That's right.
By about $14 a month.
We're looking at our charts here and you see $14 a month more. So I'm actually not, the way I'm thinking about it is, yes, I saved $36,000, $37,000, whatever the number is. However, the amount I pay to the bank is actually going to be the same. So now all I'm doing, all that money I'm saving, I'm actually paying an interest to the bank.
Well, my question again stands too, Steve. Like, where have you been living for the last year? So you're paying that money to somebody, regardless if it's into your own home or you're paying it to a landlord. So if you're paying that money to a landlord, your payments are actually effectively higher today than they would have been a year ago if you had a locked in at the 5-year rate. And you've given that rental money away to somebody instead of putting it into the own equity of your home.
Possibly even the amount of $36,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I thought this was an extreme value. There's many ways you have to look at it. I'm always of the mindset that you want to get into the market as soon as you can because your wealth will grow. There's no way you can catch up to when the market does spring up like it did 2 or 3 years ago. So even though we're a little bit slower now, it's a good time to look at it. Prices are down. Many different ways to look at it though. So thank you, Darin. I appreciate it. I was gonna shake your hand, but instead, cheers. And we'll see you next month.
Thanks for having me. I really like Scotch with Steve, by the way. That's a good idea.